So the audio you're going to hear is Iole Martinat banker, and the video is at the lake, and the audio is from probably about 10 years before these pictures. So these pictures were taken in 2019. So here's Iole Martinat banker, talking a little bit with Annie sometimes.
Over a slice of stale bread.
Some kind of recipe for soup.
Into a bowl over a slice of stale bread, which we recommend that you do too. Begin making it. We don't have anything else but fresh bread. Like batard or baguette. Begin making it 2 days ahead and don't leave out the final drizzle of oil. Well, I do. Okay, now tell me what you do. Like, okay, what I do? You take out a big pan. I don't have to say that, do you? Because I'm stupid. Okay. The night before I decide to make the soup, I take out a bowl and I put 1 cup of dried Great Northern beans. I use the small ones. The small beans? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I let them sit overnight. With water? With water, uh-huh. So those are the white beans? The white beans. And we add just enough cold water to cover the beans about 3 inches above them. Above. Okay. And you let that soak overnight, okay? Okay. And then we take, the next day, we return it, we put it into another pan. You take your beans that were soaking and put them in a big pan? A big pan? Any other pan. Well, no, just a pan. Okay. And then you add enough fresh cold water to cover it again by 3 inches. Okay. And now we put it on a fire. That's why they call it twice boiled beans. And just and cover it by 3 inches, and you simmer the beans until tender, about 1 hour. So just put the beans on like low, kind of. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is before you do any of the anything else. Okay. And then you drain. Well, you can be doing something else while it's cooking. Yeah, sure. So you drain the water out. Right. Okay. Wait, yeah. So after they've been simmering for an hour. Okay. So then you're just left with your beans? Yeah. Okay. And then you take them out. Okay. And then I heat up 4 tablespoons of olive oil in a large pan. Okay, your big soup pan. Over medium heat. Mm-hmm. And then I add 1 tablespoon of chopped red onion. 2 tablespoons of chopped red onion. Oh, just 2 tablespoons? Well, wait, I'm not done yet. Okay, you end up putting the whole thing in. Yeah. Okay. But you just saute. Right now, just 2 tablespoons. Okay. And with that, I add 2 tablespoons of chopped, very fine, fresh parsley. When do you put the tomato paste in? Well, wait a minute. Okay. So you have your parsley and your red onion and your olive oil, like sauteing? Yeah, very low. Okay. Especially on this dumb electric stove. Okay. And we saute it about 3 minutes. And then we add the tomato paste. And the tomato paste, we add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Like Hunt's tomato paste. Mm-hmm. Not sauce, paste. Paste. You'll be sure it's paste. Okay. And you saute it at a very, very low heat for about 3 minutes. Okay. And then you add all the rest of the vegetables in a pan that you've just sauteed the parsley and you saute it in the oil. You put this in a great big pan because that's what we're going to make our soup into.
Okay.
Okay. Now the veg.
So you don't put the meat in yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
So now so it says all the rest of the vegetables.
So while this stuff was cooking and stuff before, I mean.
Yeah. And then after 3 minutes, you sure take it off because
Yeah.
today I almost burned it. Because it has to be very low. Okay. Now the fresh vegetables consist of.
And tell me how much and what I do to them.
1 large russet potato.
The whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just chop it up in little pieces?
I chop it up in very little pieces because I know you don't like potato too much.
Okay. Do you leave the skin on?
I don't. You could, but I think it makes it tough.
Yeah.
And I cheated because I know you don't like potato too much, so I peeled it very generously, so it was probably 3/4 of a potato by the time I finished.
We'll use small potatoes.
Okay, then we put in 2 large carrots, peeled and sliced, 2 zucchini. The zucchini, I don't peel the zucchini.
Yeah, leave the skin on.
Yeah, because if you don't, the zucchini, when it's cooked, yeah.
Yeah. So leave the skin on the zucchini. And those are green Italian zucchini.
Right. Cut them up in pretty good pieces, slices, so that, like you said, by the time you cook it in 1.5 hours, there'll be nothing left.
So pretty big.
Yeah.
Not.
And I used the rest of the red onion that we used 2 tablespoons.
Yeah. So you
just chop it up. It doesn't have to be chopped up fine. Just but cut. Yeah, cut. I don't chop it. I just cut it with my yeah.
So it's in little bites you can eat, right?
Yeah.
But you put the whole thing in there.
Well, I put what's left of the 2 tablespoons. Remember we used 2 tablespoons up at the beginning?
But probably you have a big bunch of the thing left.
Yeah. Okay. And then we put, now the recipe calls for, then afterwards we put a bunch of, it says kale or Swiss chard, but I don't like kale in soup, so I put Swiss chard.
Oh, Swiss chard, so good.
Mm-hmm.
I like that so much. I'd even put more of that. I love it.
Well, we could put 2 bunches.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
It was a kind of a skinny one.
The bugs ate part of it.
And
it's really
then it says don't use the ribs. The ribs is that white part,
at the bottom.
No, the white, if you notice, it has a white part, and then the leaves come out like that. Don't use that part.
That center thing.
Yeah, it's tough.
Okay. So you can use either white Swiss chard or
white and red.
Yeah, red is
The fresher you get it, the better it is.
Red's probably better for us.
So I tore it from that red, white stem. I just tore it in pieces and I put it in to wash it because it's dirty. So you have to be sure it's real nice and clean. So I made it in small pieces, not too big.
So you washed it, just dunked it in water.
That's right. I did it twice.
Soaked 2 times.
Yeah, I didn't soak it. I stopped up the water in half of the sink, dumped the water in there, and dumped the, and I did it, and then take it out and drain the water, and then I do it again.
Okay.
So I set that aside.
And then you cut the Swiss chard up with the scissors?
Yeah, scissors.
Okay.
But, you can do that right now if you want.
Right now?
I mean, you can do it,
I know.
And I like it cut thin, and so I take just a little handful at a time and cut it with scissors.
Oh, Swiss chard.
Yeah, because if you cut it in 2 big pieces, you're more likely to choke on it.
Yeah.
So the finer you can cut it, the better.
Swiss
I tried
chard.
once putting it in the Cuisinart, but it was a mess.
Yeah.
Just take a little bit at a time and cut it.
Okay.
don't dry any of this stuff.
Okay.
I just dump it all in the colander.
So you just like
I'd still be cooking soup if I had to do
you
all
just put
that.
it in the colander just to let it sit there, ready to dump it all.
Right.
Could you just dump everything in once?
You wait, yeah.
I know, but instead of dumping it all in together, you know, like you're done with the Swiss chard now, you just dump it in the big bowl.
Just dump it in. I put it in the colander or a bowl or whatever.
You can't put it in the
Soup, not yet.
Okay.
And then I put. Now the recipe calls for Savoy cabbage. Well, it's very difficult to find Savoy cabbage unless you live by an Italian store. So I don't know what the name of that other cabbage is, but I think you have.
Napa cabbage?
It's
kind of ruffled little
I think it's Napa.
Yeah, it's ruffled.
Yeah.
And
Napa
it says,
cabbage.
4 ounce. It says.
It looks like an oblong color.
Right.
Cabbage with like a ruffled.
Right.
Kind of light yellow.
That's it.
Whitish.
It says 4 ounces. Well, I don't have an ounce scale, so I just use half of one.
Half of a bunch of the cabbage.
It's really good.
Now,
Use a
I don't know
lot.
if you know the cabbage. Down at the bottom of the cabbage is like the stem part, and you don't use that because that's tough.
Okay.
So for me, I turn it upside down.
You mean with the leaves?
Yeah, I don't leave it up. I turn it upside down, and then with my knife, I cut it thin.
You cut that part out?
Yeah, first I cut that part out.
And what do you cut then?
Then I cut the.
Oh, you cut the rest of it?
Yeah. You just slice it real thin.
Okay.
And then also, again, it says 4 ounces of green beans. Well, I like the green beans in the soup. And I think we might have had a little bit more than 4 ounces tonight in it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's...
And before I even start making this soup, I get that ready.
The green beans? Yeah.
Because you have to take the ends off and cut it in 2 or 3 pieces.
And wash them.
Wash them, set them aside.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't cook the green beans first, or
No,
you just...
no.
Yeah, okay.
Just get them all ready.
Okay.
And then I use 1 celery stalk. And then if you can find a little tiny bit of leaves of the celery, that's very good because it gives it very good flavor.
Probably good for you too, yeah.
Yeah, so I get
You use the whole celery thing?
just 1 celery stalk.
Oh, 1 stalk, not the whole bunch of celery. Okay. So you have to peel the stuff.
Yeah, and then I try and find inside usually there's as the celery gets it's bigger on the outside and gets littler and littler, then there's leaves.
One of the center leaves.
Yeah, I just pick out, cut a little bit, and then, okay, and then you cut it up, you cut the celery thin.
The 1 stalk then.
Yeah.
Yes, then.
And so now we've got all the vegetables ready. And so now here...
What about the parsley? Oh, that went in
That was in with the tomato sauce.
And
We've already taken that and put that up on the side. If you let it...
You only let that marinate a couple minutes, right?
That's right. If you don't, it'll burn. So...
Do you want to leave this, the stuff that marinated, do you want to leave that on the side for a while? Or do you want to have all the vegetables ready first and then marinate it and then dump it right in?
Well, you can do that if you want.
You don't want to let the stuff that marinates sit.
Oh, well, yeah, you can. That's what I did.
Yeah, you are. Okay.
As long as you don't let it cook it too much.
It might take me an hour or so to get all the vegetables ready after I've marinated.
If you do it in an hour, you're doing it very good.
Maybe all day.
You're very good if you can do it in an
So,
hour.
I mean, the marinated stuff is going to sit there for 3 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And here it says to use pancetta, but I did it once, but you guys didn't like it.
We burped. We burped.
Yeah. So I use short ribs. Comes in usually a package of or 4, and I'll have to show you what it looks like.
But the type of meat that you use is called short rib.
That's what I use.
What is that, a cow or a
Oh, yeah.
pig?
Beef. It's beef.
Cow beef.
Mm-hmm.
And it's lean.
Uh-huh. I only use one piece.
And it's a rib.
Mm-hmm. But there's mostly meat on it. And it's lean, very lean.
Okay.
And the butcher will ask you if you want it cracked. And that means broken in several pieces or just cracked. I say yes.
Yes, I want to crack it.
Because it lets the flavor out.
Crack my bones.
Crack my bone. So after you got all that,
So, I mean, what do you do with that meat? So you have the meat in package from the butcher. What do you do with it?
well, I just wipe it off.
You wipe it off.
I wipe
With
the
a
meat
paper
off.
towel.
Yeah, you can wash it off if you want, and then I dry that with a paper towel.
You take a little water and wash it off.
You can, or just dry it.
Okay.
I
So
just dry it.
now you have this piece of meat sitting there that's been washed. What do you do with it?
Okay, but now I have added all these ingredients in the pan.
Okay, so the vegetables are all in the pan now.
That's right. But don't forget the 4 tablespoons of oil, or you're in big trouble if you
At
don't.
the beginning?
Yeah.
So you don't have to do the oil now.
No, but I'm just telling you,
That was the
don't
first thing.
forget. Yeah.
So, I mean, now your meat's sitting there. What do you do?
Okay, so you dump it in with all the vegetables.
So you don't cook the meat at all again?
Not yet. So then,
So your meat is now sitting there with all the other vegetables?
Yeah.
Not cooked, just raw?
no, you got everything ready now to start cooking. Not quite yet, but you've got all the hard work done.
Is that okay to have raw meat sitting there by vegetables? I mean,
Why not?
I don't know. So you're
That's what soup. That's what all the soup's got. There.
oh, it's like soup on, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can leave it in the refrigerator until you.
So it says there's 10 cups of chicken broth.
So wait a minute.
Oh.
So then we have dumped all that. We're all done with the vegetables and meat and all that kind of stuff.
So your meat's just sitting there on top of the vegetables.
Yeah, but now you dump it all inside the pan, and you return it to the stove.
Yeah.
And you put it on low, and you take a big spoon, and you just stir it a little bit so that it kind of all takes the flavor of the meat.
Okay.
Of the meat or all the
Onion,
of the parsley and all that.
Tomato
So
paste.
in the meantime, this says 10 cups or more of canned low-salt chicken broth. Well, I hate that low-salt chicken broth. It feels terrible. Tastes terrible. So this soup, I used about, I think it was 4 cans of chicken soup.
Of chicken broth. Campbell's chicken broth.
Campbell's chicken broth. And of course you use 1 can of chicken broth and 1 can of water.
Okay, so let's see. You put 4 cans of chicken broth
And 4 cups,
8 ounces.
not cups, just
4 chicken cans.
yeah, 10 ounces.
Okay, so 4 Campbell's chicken soup cans of chicken broth and 4 Campbell's chicken broth cans, but not with the soup in it, just the water. So you're taking instead of a cup that might, a measuring cup might be a little off in ounces. You're taking,
Well, actually what I done, this time what I did, I put all the soup in another pan. I wanted to measure it. But what you have to do is you have to cover all the vegetables with the soup. All the vegetables have to be covered. And sometimes your pieces of cabbage or something, this time the zucchini was small, and the Swiss chard was small. Sometimes it's bigger. So it
might pick up.
Yeah.
So just about you want to put, the point is to put exactly the same amount of chicken broth as water.
Yeah. Except
No?
I usually add 2 cans or extra of water.
Okay, so the point is to have a little bit more water than chicken broth.
Yeah. And so it was not so salty.
Good, because I like it better.
And well then, add that.
Oh, the boiled.
Yeah.
Put that in with the vegetables?
Yeah, you put that in with the vegetables.
So along with the vegetables goes the beans.
That's right.
Okay. So about how many cans of chicken broth?
Well, this time I used four.
4 cans of chicken broth. And how much water?
Well, it was 4 cans of water.
4 cans of water.
Because you dilute the chicken broth. And it wasn't quite, it didn't cover the soup. So I added, now I can't remember now, maybe 2 or 3 cups of, or maybe 2 cans of water.
So in total you put about 4 cans of chicken broth and 6 cans of water.
Yeah. You can put 4 cans of chicken broth and then top it off with, and 4 cans of water.
Yeah.
And just top it, the rest of it off with just water until all the vegetables are covered.
Okay.
If it takes more than that, you don't need any more because you've got the meat to make a little flavor.
Okay. So now everything is sitting in the soup bowl. Anybody called Toby at area code 562 has a very heavy accent. No. On my phone, I don't know what it is. Wrong number, Mom. You just got a new phone. So the point is.
Oh, and then I used 3 peppercorns.
I knew it. Those things that when you taste them, they're so like, oh my God, I need water, water, water. So now you have everything sitting in that pan, right?
Yeah.
You're all done. You hope it does not spill on the floor.
Yes, you do.
So now what do you do? How much time do you let it sit there?
Well, now I start cooking.
Yeah.
You have to cover it,
Cover.
and you simmer it until the vegetables are done. Usually, it says 1.5 hours, but I cook it a little bit longer than that.
2 hours?
At least.
Okay. So
And you be sure you cover it.
yeah, when you say simmer, is that like low or
Yeah, well, it wasn't too low.
low, like low to medium, middle
Yeah.
there? And you let it go. I mean, is it supposed to boil or what?
Oh, yeah.
So it's boiling the whole time?
Yeah.
You want it boiling for 2 hours?
Yeah.
2 hours steady boil?
Yeah. Well, but it's not a roaring boil. A simmer is just usually a little
A
boil.
little tiny boil. But you want some bubbles?
Oh, yeah, it's got to be some bubbles. Yeah.
This is
And
Yole's
then
last
every once in a
Christmas.
while, take a look at it and stir it a little bit. And then you can taste it and see if it tastes just right. Time to go?
Yeah, so okay. Let's just say, so if you cooked it for 2.5 hours, would it be bad?
Well, it wouldn't be bad if there's anything left. Be sure that there's enough juice left because it's going to evaporate with the lid on. And I don't put the lid on real tight.
Good idea.
I put it on just a little cockeyed, so a little steam lets out.
Tilted hat.
Very little tilted. If you put it on, it'll boil too fast, and that's it.
Thank you very much. It sounds so good. Buon appetit.
Buon appetit.
Altrettanto.
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 All together, just
Yeah.
but I don't like the way what they use.
Buon appetito. Altrettanto.
Oh, shoot. Altrettanto means same to you. So you can say buon appetito and then altrettanto, same to you.